Right.
Um, and so like, I guess the biggest question I have is more around like the origin, because when I've kind of looked it up, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, I mean, I'm not sure she wrote it, but I know like in The Chosen, for instance, when she's in the Cave of Eggs at the end, she shows Matthew the book she wrote. But I guess this book what ended up in like Egypt or something, or like how, or a lot of people think that it was written much later and maybe it was like from stories of hers. So like, do you know like how more of that like originated?
I do. I'm very excited to talk about it because we know that there were non-canonized gospels found
Canada.
in Nag
Okay.
Hammadi. Okay. This was not part of Nag Hammadi. All right. And so there's some people that think because Dead Sea Scrolls and then the Gospel of Thomas, and there's certain gospels that were found there, and they are known as like the apocryphons, the Apocryphon of John, the Apocryphon of James. Like there are these other gospels, but they were never canonized because the church never accepted them. I don't know why that would be your department. I feel like because of maybe the time frame that these texts were discovered, maybe they didn't want to have to deal with this. I don't know. But this is what happened with the
A
Gospel
lot
of
of
Mary
it
Magdalene.
had to do because, like, even Peter's gospel isn't one of the gospels because there was a lot of things I just didn't add, things that didn't align, and so that's why I think they came up with like the four because they're it aligned. Whereas when they became all these like too many contradictions, guess they just like, I mean, the gospel like Peter is in the Bible, but it's not considered one of the gospels. I guess, glorified in a sense. So
Mhm.
the other books as well, the Catholic Church uses them for referencing certain things, but like it's kind of like I feel like they pick and choose which ones, and I don't know what happens. I think they try to debunk, obviously, because I'm sure at this time there was probably they probably had a slew of people who wrote their version or whatever. And so I don't know what their whole process was with it, but I know a lot of the skepticism around the Gospel of Mary Magdalene was that it was like written probably like second, third century, which most of the Bibles were written in the first century, or Gospels were
Is
written the first
this
century,
uh,
and then and it was found in Egypt, but she was in France. So that I think led them to believe, well, if she wrote it and she was in France, why would it be in Egypt? So maybe there was like that kind of thing. And then a lot of the things were contradicting. But when I read the first part, especially that chapter where she's talking about, you know, arguing kind of with Peter and her like encouraging them, I don't have any issues with discernment because it sounds very true, because it very much sounded like what the disciples were going through at that time, of that they were uncertain. They didn't know really where to go. Like this happened and they really had no direction. I don't think Peter was really leading at that point. I mean, he led them back to the freaking Sea of Galilee to go fishing. So I could very much, Jesus had to come back and talk to them, and tell them like, what are you doing? And so it makes me think that to me, that lines up.
And I think that other people told her story. I don't think that she wrote the gospel herself. They believe that it was probably documented in the early second century, but it was discovered in Cairo in 1896. And some German guy was walking through a bazaar. He was walking through a market, and he saw this text written in Sahidic Coptic. And so that Coptic is a mix of Greek and Egyptian. And so the New Testament was originally written in Coptic. So that is one of those things that you just cannot ignore. So we have Old Testament written in Hebrew and Aramaic. New Testament was written in Coptic. And so one version was found in Cairo. The other two were found in Greece. Interestingly enough, the same pages were missing from all three manuscripts.
What?
The same
And these are
page.
3 of the exact same version. Like,
Yes.
everything was the same.
Yes. Yes. So
And they all are missing
three,
because it's the first few pages, right?
yeah, I think like I think it's the page. I have to double check this, but I believe it's pages like
It's
4
like
to
1 through
6
7 or
or 4 to
something?
7,
Okay.
something like that, 4 to 8.